triple kill with the fire strike from Fissure. Oh, that's what I'm talking about, Birdring. Your boy's back.
It's time for Watchpoint.
Welcome to MLG's Watchpoint. Mr. X here with Monty and Uber, and already through week 2.
Dallas is winning games.
Yeah.
Dallas Fuel is winning games.
It's so funny. It's
Boston
the first time
is
I've seen them be able to
0-4.
celebrate.
Yeah.
Was it the first time they've beaten a non-Shanghai team since the February the 23rd?
It's been a while.
3 months.
It's been a
So
while.
literally 3 months to the day since the last time they beat a non-Shanghai team. And they
How
do
we
it.
have to categorize it
That is
as non-Shanghai.
That is like double of the Sinai Desert pilgrimage, by the way. They have been through the Valley of the Shadow of Death. They come out the other side. That's what I'm talking about. It's a recap show. Well, we talk about everything that happened in week 2. Let's begin with your biggest stories in 90 seconds. After going undefeated in the Stage 3 regular season, Boston's surprising slide continued, dropping their first match 3-0 to the Dallas Fuel
Dallas will take the map and take the series.
before losing a tightly contested 5-map match to the Valiant,
Nobody saw that one coming.
bringing their Stage 4 record to 0-4.
They haven't won a game since the semis of the Stage 3 finals.
My, how times have changed.
Please make some noise for your Stage 2 and Stage 3 champions, the NYXL.
Boston's loss to the Valiant locked up the #1 overall seed and the $300,000 prize that comes with it for the NYXL,
Nobody can overtake them. It's mathematically impossible.
who again proved they are the best team in Overwatch,
It's like an oyster wrapped in the shell, and NYXL will enjoy their high-class treats.
with dominant wins over Seoul and Shanghai, with more than a little style.
This team is on such a roll. They are the perfect team.
After a massive roster shakeup at the beginning of the week, London regained their spot as the #2 overall seed,
Oh, that's what I'm talking about, Birdring. Your boy's back.
as Birdring and Profit propelled them to a 2-0 week. And both Los Angeles teams continued to show their mastery of the new meta, going undefeated in week 2,
Another hook, another dead body.
pushing both of their records to 4-0 in the stage to keep pace in the tightly contested league playoff standings.
It was an awesome week of action, and the action continues.
As you've heard there, the NYXL are the #1 team for the inaugural Overwatch League regular season. That won't change, but everything behind them is still up for grabs. Boston fell from 2nd to 4th place. London moved back into 2nd place, and the Valiant have settled into 3rd overall. And for me, I want to start things off with the Valiant. I think they had a really strong week this week, and I think a big reason why is space at the off tank. You know, he's able to do so many different things. You see a lot of teams, they have to sub in a Zarya specialist and whatnot. Space can play Diva in Zarya at an extremely high level. I think it gives them a ton of flexibility in that role, which I think it's really important. I think their tank line is really solidifying themselves as one of the best in the league.
I love me a bit of space, but I'll be honest with you, I'm going to do the cold water thing. Normally it's Monty that does that, but you played the freaking Mayhem and the Uprising this week. I'm sorry, but watching the
Mayhem
Valiant
are
play,
coming.
look, we've seen this before as well. We've seen them have like
Monty says-
these 4-0 stretches, and it was still, you know, somehow managed to disappoint us further down the line. So I'm sort of a little bit concerned because I feel like, especially on this team, you don't have a top-level Widowmaker. Now, not every team can have a top-level Widowmaker, but not every team can be a top team either. Now, Soon has actually had to play a lot more Tracer recently as well, because now you have to change compositions in-game, not between maps. So subbing in Bunny just to play the Tracer isn't working anymore. Soon is now having to do double duty, which was never the plan. And while he's had decent statistics in general, he's not up there with the likes of like our real top players, you know, like our Architects, our Sire players, our Pines and Liberos of the world, and I'm a little bit concerned that the Valiant are actually shakier than they appear to be, and their record has just been quite clement for them.
Yeah, exactly. And if you talk about the Stage 4, sure, we're taking a look at him as a top 3 Widow when it comes to the scoped accuracy or eliminations per 10 minutes. But you have to remember a lot of these teams that the Valiant have played. We talked about this last stage. They had a very soft opening. They're lucky, I think, that Boston's in a slump right now. Still took them 5
They almost
games.
lost to them, yeah.
Took 5 games to beat Seoul as well, who's obviously slumping. So I think the Valiant, I have to throw some cold water on this too. There's just something about them where they don't quite pass the eye test,
They
right?
don't inspire confidence.
They seem like an upper middle pack team. They could actually end up with the 2nd seed by winning the Pacific Division, but I think they'll lose in semis.
I think they finish this stage either 6-4 or 7-3. I think there's a good chance they finish 7-3. I mean, they don't play Philly this stage, right?
Sure, but they're just going to get bodied in the stage playoffs again, just like they did last time. They got absolutely wrecked.
I don't like them against the Gladiators at all right now. I think the Gladiators are going to be a strong team.
I think it's a 50-50 matchup. I think that matchup can go either way, to be honest.
Well,
I disagree with you there, and I think the main issue is that they don't really have a star DPS player, right? We talk about Agility's coming in. Bunny's not here to take out the supports anymore. Soon has been doing all right, and certainly you take a look again at Agility's stats, but 2 of those were against Dynasty and Mayhem. Or Dragons and Mayhem, and then we have the Uprising versus Dynasty. And yeah, he's very consistent, but I think you really, what Valiant lacks is the star playmaking ability to take them to the next level. You've got to have somebody up there who's going to compete.
The Gladiators get by with really only Surefour, you can say, as that star DPS player.
What if Fissure makes tons of plays?
Right? But they have Fissure. But I mean, you do have Fate in space. Both of those guys are still really good.
No, if you want to discuss tank lines, I think that's all well and good. But I really think that this game comes down to Widowmaker right now and getting picks or Junkrat and pressuring out, Begita comps or anything like that.
Widowmaker matchups, though, I think can always, on a day, just turn on its head. I mean, we saw Linkser, right, dominate Bird Ring, and then Bird Ring the next week can just come out and not miss a shot, right? So I want to talk about San Francisco. They may be out of the season playoffs, but they continue their push for the Stage 4 playoffs with the help of a new face. We saw Choyobin come in for NYXL this week. It's a change we didn't see coming. I know NYXL played pretty much every game for the Shock up until this point, but I still think you see this Shock team going through a lot of changes overall. I think you see Krusty making his impact, and I think now I feel like every time we say this, a new player comes into the lineup. Now we see them solidifying on a 6.
They just keep getting better and better, right? It's just better and better incrementally, and I think, like, we look at a guy like Architect, too. Now, Architect has been absolutely amazing. When we look at the Valiant, we say, okay, where are the big star-level DPS performances? Well, here you go. Here are some star-level DPS performances out of Architect. Genji, Pharah, Widowmaker. This guy is absolutely crushing it.
I am annoyed to see them lose to London this week. I really think that this was the kind of week where they had to actually sort of overperform. Now, that might say more about London actually also improving themselves, but I saw too many first picks onto San Francisco in that match against London. Birdring was making it happen, but Architect, of course, on the Genji and Widow roles was impactful.
But this is a team that's only going to get better, right? I think their average age is 19. Average. And it's getting, like, skewed by some of the older players on that roster.
When you buy into the San Francisco dream, even at the start of the season, you bought into a team that was only going to look good stage 3 onwards. And like that was already like very clear because we knew that they had tons of players that wouldn't be eligible until then.
You look at their record, I think, like stage 3 and stage 4, and you have a lot of hope for next year, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, you bring in maybe like 1 or 2 new players in the offseason who are around like the same type of age, who can kind of grow with the rest of this roster. This is a playoff team next year, I think.
Absolutely. Look at this team. So they start 3-7, 3-7, stage 1 and 2, and then all of a sudden, right after their players turn 18 and they start to sign new players, they're 6-4.
Shocking.
And that was before they even had Choi Hyobin. That was before they had time to really gel as a unit. That was before Sinatra started to like really catch on fire again. I agree. I think this is a very good team next year.
Sinatra and Super have a little bit earlier birthdays, and they're able to play in stage 2. They may be in the overall playoff race.
Exactly. But you bought into that as a San Francisco fan, so you can't complain. Monty, let's go on to your favorite topic as of late. We gave a lot of praise to the Houston Outlaws following their Week 1 performance. There may have been a retraction of a retracted retraction, but now we have to reel that retraction back a bit. Houston looked pedestrian again in losses to the Gladiators and the Shock. What on earth is going on? I literally, like, Week 1, I got out there, I'm talking to Flame. He's looking and feeling good. He's like, yo, I think this meta just rewards teams who understand how to play the meta. Week 2 rolls around, and it turns out you can't use Bagheeta to get you out of every situation. Teams are actually forcing the Outlaws now back into some uncomfortable compositions and forcing them to dive them.
Flame might not have been wrong. He could have just been wrong about his own ability to understand the meta.
And look, maybe, I know there was like frustrations going on there, but these guys are trying to play like double sniper comps against shield comps and all this kind of stuff. Like, this is supposed to be the most well thought out, the most polished, coordinated, and cerebral team in the Overwatch League. The guys who sort of know the script of the game before they come in, and then we just see these interactions and comps being picked that just don't make a lot of sense.
It seems like they come in with an idea of what to do, and they know what to do, and then they just don't execute
Or maybe,
really.
or
Just
do
like-
they have the wrong idea and execute the wrong
it's
idea?
all-
No. Like, that's the thing is we look at them, and one of the hallmarks is they're running a lot of double sniper in week 1. And I think that because the patch was decided so late, a lot of teams were on break. They had a really good read initially on what they were good at. However, and the desk talked about this during their game versus the Gladiators. Gladiators had a better read on how to defeat them. Run Orisa, Widow, and the Junkrat, and just hide behind the shield. You can't play the double sniper into that. And at that point, they make the necessary switch. So they put Jake on Tracer on Hanamura, okay? So he attacks. But the thing is, their Tracer problems are still evident because here's Surefour winning that duel. And so the thing is, dive is still very much a part of this meta as a counter strat if you don't see the Brigitte. So you still have to be able to run it because this now rewards teams that can play dive and other things well. So New York wins.
It's almost worse because now when you have to switch to dive, you're doing it a little bit later on the clock, and then if it doesn't work, then you're not building up any ultimates. You don't have a good chance at all. I want to talk about Raucus. I don't think he had a very good week. I know.
Oh, dear.
Had a really tough week in the flex support role. You see they're fewest in the league in terms of final blows, as in Yada in week 2. No, it's hard for.
Think about the others and the others in the league for a second. Put that in perspective.
Yeah, I mean, it's not good, right? I think, obviously, a lot goes into the flex support role. I know whether your tanks are peeling for you at the right time, whether things are going your way, but still, you got to be a bit better than that.
Look, I mean, the fact of the matter is, Jake was also saying earlier on, he's actually been playing less Junkrat in preparation for stage 3 than for any other stage, right? He was probably expecting to play a lot of this Hanzo, but maybe the Junkrat is the answer to these shield compositions. And Arhan is great. He's great to have, and now he finally has a work visa. That's been announced recently. He was here on a tourist visa prior to that. The problem is you have to change comms in-game now, not between maps. So you don't have the luxury of just, we'll sub him in for a map. We need Tracer. You need Tracer every map, potentially, to answer some of these compositions on the fly. You can't just, fiddle around and try and make things work without the right players.
But that's what I love about this meta. We have now struck the right chord of, yes, you can have a dominant Tracer player, but you can't just default to Tracer and win every game. So your Tracer player actually has to be versatile. Your team has to be versatile in compositions. I think we're in a great place.
Yeah, now you need, if you want to play, usually your Tracer player plays Brigitte, right? So now you need a Genji player who can also play Widowmaker, right? Because now you see the issue with a team like the Valiant when we talked about their DPS is that Soon can play Widow and Tracer, but then they can't run a Tracer with the Widow.
And so it makes sense to cut rosters down. So you look at London's decision last week to streamline their offering a bit more and have players that are more versatile instead of having more players to make up for their versatility. And it doesn't seem like such a bad idea.
I definitely agree with that. But we're going to move into the Dallas Fuel. We are so happy to be able to finally say some nice things about this team. 2-0 this week. And I think one of their big success stories has been, surprisingly, Seagull's Diva play. Because remember, this was an accident. They didn't intend for them to be able to play Seagull and flex him between Genji, Pharah, Junkrat, and the Diva. So they're in a unique situation because they spent an entire stage training him to be a flex tank. So now they can run main tank, Diva, and Mickey on Brigitte together, and they sort of stumbled into something that has been quite good for them in terms of compositions.
Yeah, and Seagull's always been a really clever player. That's kind of what his appeal was as a streamer, because he played the game in a very cerebral manner and very creative approach to a lot of situations. But I am really happy to see Taimu start to kick it up a little bit. No more of this old Moo, no more glad Moo, sad Moo. I'm all about that new Moo, and I'm not allergic to dairy. This guy is killing it. His Widowmaker's been sick this week. Statistics have been fantastic. Confidence has always been such a big thing for Taimu as a player. He said it on stream. He's come out and said, I don't feel confident. I do feel confident. I watched him against the Shanghai Dragons in the match that Dallas actually did win. And Taimu didn't look confident even going up against Dia as well, who was definitely not considered a top-level Widowmaker player. He's definitely up there. But Taimu in this game looked confident in both games. And now you can see hitting those shots. Mindset is everything for this guy. And it looks like he's finally found a way to recover some of that.
I'm just happy because a lot of fans who weren't watching professional Overwatch prior to the start of Overwatch League didn't really know what a special player Taimu can be. He's streaky, absolutely. He has his peaks, he has his valleys. They're pretty extreme differences.
Yes.
But when he's on top of his game, he is one of the most fun players in the world to watch. So I hope fans are enjoying that now if you weren't familiar with this guy.
I mean, when he
previously.
plays with confidence, his Widowmaker is unreal, right?
Yeah,
I mean, when he's hitting shots, and it's one of the coolest things to watch. And Dallas having their third 2-0 week of the season was definitely a surprise. And so are these plays. It didn't see that coming. We'll kick things off with the Dallas Fuel. It'll be OG with a 4-man Earthshatter versus the Philly Fusion. The teamates there to clean it up. Sato puts his shield down. OG the rest of the crew come in, clean it up.
Yeah, you're going to see a lot of these plays with Reinhardt on the payload, setting up these shatters in these latest weeks. It's a good way to win the mind game, preserve your shield at the same time. And we're back to Taimu, and it's not going to be Widowmaker. He doesn't have to do anything besides hide right here. What I love is Boston is going to pop their infra sight from Striker, but they have no idea he's already behind them. They think they're safe, and here comes a Reaper 3K as he spins the win.
Yeah, it's a nice setup there. It's after Boston had sort of already taken the point there, so he might switch off that one after that point. Still, agilities though. Now, you might be seeing a Graviton Dragon Strike combo, but that's not what I love about this play, right? A lot of that was sort of protected by Engod's Transcendence. Let's see what happens after. Agility's nailing shot after shot here just to clean up the fight, which could have gone either way, especially because that Dragon grab didn't quite work out the way they would have liked it to.
Another Dragon Strike, this one from Tavik into a grab for a 6K on King's Row.
Oh, it's solo queue all over again.
Yep. That's what it looks like. You see the grab comes down, the Dragon comes out.
It's like Shaz doesn't bother using trans or dies before it. I'm not sure either way. They just let it happen.
I think at that point when everybody's caught in there, but it's rare to see a 6K, a full ace. And now we're going to look at Fissure, of course. Here's another play where he's going to use the payload. There's a Graviton already up. Great communication. So they know they have the tanks and the Graviton. This means that they can't protect the backline from the Shatter. You just crowd control absolutely everybody. Big kills.
It's so powerful shattering behind a payload because they can't really see you winding up. So it's harder for the enemy tank to respond. Here's Shaz. This was really sick. So goes into Transcendence, winning fight. And it's not necessarily his first shot, but this second one that is ridiculous. Now, I feel it's a pot shot, but he hits he hits Banny on his way back to spawn. It's just ridiculous.
That is so sick. I feel like Shaz is one of the Zens we don't talk about enough in the league. It'll be cool, Matt, dropping the Diva self-destruct down. Hydration getting caught in a trap, trying to escape. Watch this from Hydration's POV. There's a self-destruct. Oh, I'll just walk out of the room. Oh, no.
Where are you going?
That was such a fun play. I love seeing stuff like this. The Junkrat trap in the right place at the right time. And I also love seeing Architect on Widowmaker. Here we go, versus the Houston Outlaws. Casual 5K, of course, aided by that infra sight. But you still have to hit these shots. He's waiting for that res. He decides, oh, nope, there's a flying Junkrat. Why don't I just kill that instead? We'll get back to the rest of you later.
Normally, Widowmaker is about that crosshair placement, but there are a couple Widows that can really go nuts with these flicks in the league. Like a lot of guys up links are short for a little bit more well-behaved. That was amazing, though. Here's Fury. So this is amazing. Gesture sets this one up nicely. So Fury has to use a self-destruct. His mech is down. Gesture turns this into a high-value play with a big hold. Where are you going? Get back in here and paste the pain.
It's like Fury gets the kills right there, but that's a play from Gesture.
Absolutely.
It's going to be Libero with a 3K Rip Tire to end the dreams of Seoul Dynasty. This one coming right over the top. This is when Seoul stayed on a Lucio for about 2 minutes to try and get used to the sound barrier. Spoiler, didn't work. They end up getting blown up with a tire there towards the end for the loss.
We were sufficiently underwhelmed, I think, by that particular match by Seoul. But lots to discuss in that game. Go back and watch it. There was a lot of tactics discussion because there wasn't a lot of good action. But the NYXL have been in first place in the overall standings since February 8th. But they finally claimed their regular season championship this week. It's locked up. And no, the clinching moment, as I just said, wasn't that climactic. The players still welcome the accomplishment with open arms.
And there it is, Jonak! Are you kidding me? Meko with a double kill.
Dan is gonna beat everyone away. Anima resurrects Jonak.
Oh, Libero! It's 5 kills! It's prime time! Great ult from Mono. Sebiomi running amok.
They continue their reign of dominance. New York has clinched the #1 seed.
They've locked in that first seed for the playoffs.
It's officially the best team in Overwatch today.
계속 열심히 해서 올라갈 걸 알고 있었고.
Today, they secured the best record. Is there anyone who can touch them?
저는 솔직히 쪼낙이 너무 잘해.
Jonak doing what Jonak does. He's looking for more.
The reason you're doing really great in the season and the stage is first is that our supports are really good, including the Meko, and second, our mental leader and captain SBB is doing really great job.
이제 LW 팀이 뉴욕으로 이제 오게 됐을 때 우리가 이제 당연히 이길 거라고 생각했어요.
It's LW Blue, and you will not find divier, aggressive, crazy, bloodthirsty teams in all of Korea.
메타가 바뀌든 바뀐 만큼 노력하면 되죠. 만약 바뀌었으면은 바뀐 만큼 더 연습을 많이 하고 이제 더 연구를 하고 하는 거에서 우리가 이렇게 될 수 있지 않았나 생각을 합니다. 그렇죠?
그렇죠.
네.
저는 아마 설렁설렁하게 이번 4스테이지는 하지 않고 그래도 플레이오프를 더 준비 많이 할 것 같아요, 저는.
그 경기를 위해서 체력을 어느 정도 비축한다는 것도 현명한 판단으로 생각해서
스테이지 우승도 노릴 거고 시즌 우승도 노릴 거고 다 노릴 거예요. 다 질 거예요.
저는 플레이오프에서 한 번 더 상대하고 싶은데 서울 이겼을 때가 기분이 제일 좋아가지고.
왜 만나고 싶으면요.
못해서
보스턴과 뉴욕은 스포츠로 라이벌이다. 그래서 확실히 뉴욕이 보스턴보다 위에 있다는 거를 저희가 보여주고 싶어요. 왔으면 좋겠습니다.
Maybe I think Gladiators, I think Valiant would be fun too.
뉴욕에서 경기하니까 당연히 저희를 더 응원해 주실 거고 그러니까 저는 더 기분 좋을 것 같아요. 그래서 하면.
Playing as a New York player in the New York really big stadium is really great honor, so we should try to win there.
결승을 뉴욕에서 수많은 팬들이 이제 보는 앞에서 경기를 하는데 홈그라운드이기도 하고 일단은 저는 다시 한번 그 노래를 불러줬으면 좋겠어요. 그 Go New York, Go New York, Go 하는 그 노래를 그 많은 사람들이 하면 얼마나 좋을지 정말 상상이 안 가서 그거 꼭 듣고 싶어요.
We're almost numb to JJJ's dominance at this point. I'm not, though. I still love watching him pound some plebs. But you really have to respect the numbers he's put up this season. He remains first in damage, elims, and final blows for 10 as Zenyatta to the surprise of no one, and he dies the second least in the league. Now, it's time for Attack or Defend, where Mr. X and Uber fight over who is smarter, and in the end, everyone realizes it was me all along. So, as we know, the NYXL have locked up the #1 seed and will get a bye into the first round of the playoffs this season. They still have 6 matches to play this stage. Matches that mean absolutely nothing outside of possible stage playoff implications. So the first point is that the NYXL should take it easy for the rest of the stage and save energy for the playoffs. Uber, you can start. Attack or defend?
I'll defend this. I think if they take it easy, they're going to make it into this stage playoffs anyway. At this stage, already got 4 wins under their belt. There's no incentive to try to risk burning players out or even showing some strategies you'd rather save. The patch will change coming into the playoffs, but they can use this time now to prepare for that one and start to theory craft and scout other players.
So I'm going to attack this. I think you can kind of coast through the next 2 weeks, but I would try some different strategies. A lot like how we saw Pine play some Genji and Sabiel B play some Junkrat the other day. I would try and mix up some of the roles of these players, increase versatility, and then those final 2 games of the season really go hard. I think you throw players off of what they're trying to, kind of game plan against NYXL by mixing up their roster a little bit. I think it only sets you up better down the road.
I'm confused.
I agree. I think what you said is that they should take it easy, play some unorthodox strats, and not show anything.
I know how to get into the mind of Monty.
Yeah, that's right. However, you think that means going hard. I think that means taking it easy.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be all about these guys, our roster.
That's it.
It's a bunch of sandbags right now, so Uber, I think, is going to win this one.
Why is Sabiel B sandbag so sad?
He's the limpest sandbag. All right. So next up, the London Spitfire went 2-0 in week 2 and moved back into second place in the overall season standings. But teams 2 through 8 are very tightly packed in terms of record and map differential. And we have a couple spoiler teams like the Fuel and the Shock that may be able to knock people out of the playoffs. So do we agree with the standings? The London Spitfire are the second best team in the league right now at this very moment. Mr. X, you can go first on this one, attack or defend.
I'm going to defend this. I think that London is the second best team in the league right now. I think there's a lot of teams underneath them that can make a case, but I think, it's so inconsistent in that 2 through 6 range that I think you just look at the wealth of talent they have on this roster and you think, they're going to get stronger playing with just the 6 from now on. They're going to be our second best team coming into the playoffs.
I think right now they're just starting to come out of their slump. So I attack this. I actually think the Gladiators consistently winning that particular matchup. And I think that the Gladiators can just not throw to teams that they should otherwise beat. I believe that they're actually a better team than London.
Ooh, I sort of agree with both of you. At this very moment, as we're standing here, I love your point, but I also think that a lot of fans should be hoping that London is the second best team by the time the playoffs rolls around, because I think they're the only team that's going to give London a run for their money. But I have to say, right now, I think London needs more time. I think in 1 week from now, you might be right. But right
just
now,
got dabbed all over.
Bro, I just see the future. Just watch. London will be the second best team.
Well, I agree with you. And like I said, we better hope that's true because if we want a great final in this league, we want that to be a true story.
So this feels like a league that is giving us is potentially giving us not a very close grand final, and I'm not about that life.
But we know what London could be in their top form, so that's exciting. All right, last one. Fissure made an appearance at the London Spitfire house over the weekend, sporting his Spitfire jersey. We all know he used to play for London. Perhaps he pines for it a bit now. But now that he's a Gladiator, are we okay with this? Fissure hanging with his old teammates in his Spitfire jersey. Uber, attack or defend?
I'm going to defend this. I love this. It's like a subliminal way of letting his team know. It's like, that's right. You keep practicing with that pro player mentality or I'm pissing off back to the Spitfire. Because he had to get the Gladiators to try and change the mentality when he first joined them. He said there was a clash there and they were a little bit lax on it. So this is light a fire under them and remind them where he's going to go.
I got to attack this. You can't just rock up in there with the jersey on again. Like, hey, everything's
good. He's like, please
like,
take me back.
The Sureforce probably looking at his phone, like, seeing that, and he's like, oh, no, Birdring just had a really good week. Now he's got the jersey on again. He's like, oh, we're going back to remix, oh, no.
All right, I think Mr. X is going to win this one. I was actually there for that dinner as well, so it was really funny because he just walked by me in a Spitfire jersey, and I was just like, interesting. So anyway, but Mitch wins overall this week. Good job, Uber.
Definitely undefeated.
And this is his tactical crouching victory.
Watch me dab on him.
That's right. He's dabbing and bagging at the same time. So I guess we call that.
See that?
We call it the D-bag.
We don't even
That's what we call it.
didn't see it coming because we all know the horrible dance.
That's the dab meets the Dilmar dunk, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome.
Dilmar dunk? What the hell's that?
Dilmar's a brand of tea. I'll let you figure it out.
All right, guys. Okay, we'll hear from the second place London Spitfire in just a moment. Plus, it's almost time for your least favorite segment, Emote Control. This week, we'll give our reactions to some brutal in-game blunders and some solid cosplay involving everyone's favorite Brigitte player. This is Watchpoint.
Jacobs is destroying London Spitfire limb from limb. And yeah, get yourselves lounging, Outlaws, because you guys are on the road to sweeping this Spitfire.
And New York, at the very end, will pull through to victory. It's London Spitfire who are sent back to the drawing board.
선수들이 리그가 아무래도 시즌이 길다 보니까 그 피로도가 누적이 되고 선수들이 이제 심적으로 많이 힘들었던 시기가 스테이지 3라고 생각을 해요.
이제 그렇게 많이 져본 선수들이 아닌데 스테이지 3에서 이제 좀 패배도 많이 맛보고 좀 아깝게 막 2대3으로 지는 것도 너무 많아가지고 좀 선수들이 뭐 한편으로는 좋은 점도 생겼는데 이제
딜러 이제 할 때 챔피언 폭이 있잖아요. 그런 걸 이제 지혁이랑 할 때 좀 편했는데 이제 지혁이가 부상이 오면서 좀 하락세가 있긴 했는데 그래도 저희가 더 잘했으면 됐지 않을까.
London dropped some massive news a few days ago.
저희가 아시다시피 저번 주에 저희가 좀 힘든 일이 좀 있었어요. 좀 같이 오랫동안 지내왔던 선수들을 잠깐 떠나 보내야 되는 좀 일이 있어가지고.
The following players are designated as inactive on our roster: Hagapun, Tizzy, Wuyao, and Hure.
그 분위기 하나가 첫 번째 주의 경기 결과에 제일 큰 영향을 미쳤던 것 같아요. 그냥 저희 팀에 너무 잘하는 선수들이 11명이 다 모여 있어가지고 이제 모두에게 이제 공평하게 기회를 주려고 하니까 이제 좀 다른 팀이 로스터가 적은 팀이 연습을 하면서 올라오는 그 경험치 쌓이는 게 아무래도 저희 팀이 좀 더디더라고요. 그래가지고 좀
They can profit over there. There may be some miscommunication, not quite getting the picture.
저는 새로운 메타 보면서 할 영웅이 너무 많아져가지고 그것 때문에 좀 힘들었는데 최근에 좀 많이 연습해서 좋아지고 있긴 한데.
And Prophet seems to have been able to make the most of that one.
플레이오프에 가는 데 있어서 이제 좀 어떻게 보면 그냥 지나가는 단계인데 거기서 이제 저희는 그냥 경기를 선수로서 열심히 할 뿐이고 근데 결과가 어떻든 저희는 이제 좀 멘탈을 잘 유지를 해서 마지막에 좋은 결과를 보여주면 좋을 것 같다는 생각을 해요.
Jester continues to play very, very well on that main tank.
무조건 결승까지 가야죠. 무조건 결승까지 갈 거고 분명히 우승할 수 있는 선수들이고 너무나 훌륭한 사람들이 많이 모여있는 팀이다 보니까 일단은 자신 있습니다. 우승해야죠.
우승해야죠.
A big win for the London Spitfire.
But there's more to be done this season.
Prophet is known for his deep hero pool, which is deepening, now including Vegeta. As you see here, he's top 3 in several major categories on the damaging new support hero. So London gets Boston and Dallas in week 3. All right, so it's time to hear what these two knuckleheads think of the week's most emote-worthy clips. This is Emote Control.
Where's your remote?
Right here, big boy.
Oh, I was wondering how you're going to do this without your
I'm
remote.
on the ball. I got this remote.
I was worried for a second.
Let's start this one off. Architect has a little bit of a flub with his grappling hook here after kind of getting wrecked off the map.
I love that angle, too, of the halt through the doorway.
So I've seen, I had a player in my ranked game last night complain he was like messing up his grapple. I don't get how you do this. If you're playing Widow this much, come on, just get back on there. He hit the top a little bit early, and then he hits the top, yeah.
Look, I'm actually going to go with a PogChamp for this because I think that halt is so good through the doorway as they're trying to flank in with the Widowmaker. That's just an amazing... We've seen a lot of great gesture halts this week, and there's another one for you.
All right, let's move along to our next one here. We talk about photo finishes. How about photo starts, guys? Here is the NYXL just posing up in spawn for us.
I love
old days of Overwatch.
I love this. I'm going to go with the Juvie Kiss emote here. We've lost the Mitch Blue Steel
what a shame.
emote. But
yeah, where'd it go?
Such a beautiful pose here from New York. I want to give it a little bit of Juvie love.
I'm going to join in the Juvie love. You got to show off for the camera. That's why I wish I had the Uber Blue Steel emote here.
I'm taking royalties for that. You guys,
that's okay. We'll pay them for this one. I think it's worth it.
25 cents a pop, guys. Step right up. All right, let's move on to the next one. This actually upset me a little bit. I was legitimately annoyed seeing this particular C9, gentlemen. What is your take?
I loved it. I'm gonna go with a.
What are you doing?
Champ here. This is such a Seoul Dynasty thing. At this point, nothing really surprises me with them. It's been such a poor season.
This is just a fail-fish moment. I mean, we've seen Seoul have a couple of points this season where they haven't seemed like they can really get their communication together to get on the point, so this isn't the first one. Wouldn't surprise me if it wasn't the last one either.
Okay, get this tribe off my screen. Now, get it off. All right, here you go. Here's some IRL cosplay. So normally you cosplay like fictional characters. Mickey is about as real as they come, and yet he does have a cosplay fan back home by the looks.
I'm gonna go. Look, I'm gonna go like Boneface because I like it. It's a cool idea. I'm gonna go Whatface though, just because I really don't understand it. I'm not a cosplay expert. I don't even dress up on Halloween. I don't know if this categorizes cosplay dressing up as somebody else. It's kind of cool though.
He
so that's why
cosplayed the jersey though as well. Like he actually,
Look, I love this. I think it's super fun. Giving it the MLG bone face.
Yeah.
It's so fun to see fans, especially from like Mickey's native Thailand, who are really getting invested into the league and supporting their favorite players. So I love it.
I just love the recreation of the jersey. I think that's
in
that's
Thai.
really cool.
Yeah,
that's pretty dope.
Let's move along. So first we had the Snillo pillow, and now they're
double pillow.
That is a Muma and Jake
Only
body
one
pillow.
emote for this. Going full on raucous.
That is
booty
booty.
here. You can use these pillows.
It's not even a raucous. It's not even a raucous
Why don't
one.
I have Houston Outlaws? Send me a Jake body pillow. Send me a Muma body pillow. I'll use it.
He will do unspeakable things.
Nah, fam.
This is pure golden boy for me. Making the what face here. This is a little bit too much. I'm not sure the world needs more merchandise like this. We had the Snillo pillow. However, now we have the anime versions, I guess.
I like
Outlaws players.
real estate agent. I like real estate agent Jake there.
Right. It's almost time to go, and I need to vomit. But we have time for one last thought about week 2. This is Hindsight. Monty, you're up first, as per the usual.
All right, I think in hindsight we can say, so at the end of the last stage, we said, wow, they released Krusty as we were coming into Boston, released Krusty coming into this week. And we said, well, they must not really need him. They must feel that he is extraneous, non-consequential, not essential to this team. However, I think now we've seen whether it was him or just the way he unified the players, because Boston's skid, I think, has more than just the meta changing and his absence. There seems to be something like deeply, fundamentally going wrong with bubbling underneath with this synergy, and maybe Krusty was controlling that as well. And on the other side of that coin, we look at how Krusty is doing on the San Francisco Shock, how they seem to be improving massively. I've talked to the Shock's players who are all very grateful that he's on this roster right now, and we have to say, Krusty's a damn good coach. Boston, what did you do?
All right, for me, you might know this, I have an extremely large amount of time for Houston, the players and the fans, but I think they fooled everyone, including themselves, into thinking that this was actually their meta. Perhaps they jumped the gun a little bit early on and said, we can play Begito this entire time. Remember the video we saw Raucus saying, well, none of us really wants to play Tracer, so this is perfect for us. Perhaps they didn't realize that it wouldn't be so simple as playing one comp as we had seen in previous stages. Now, a meta that requires teams to make switches on a dime within maps, not in between them. And it seems as if they're maybe not ready or as well equipped for this kind of meta as they would have hoped. We've seen them attempt to sort of bring the Tracer in. They tried to play the double sniper composition into some compositions we talked about earlier on that might just not suit it. Perhaps it's a little early to get excited about Houston in this, what should be their meta.
And for me, in hindsight, the NYXL seem immune to meta changes. And throughout stage 1, 2, and 3, they've looked so good. And then into stage 4 is a huge shock in terms of what was going to go on with the meta. And they've adjusted just fine. I think this is a part because of the way they play the game. They're much more defensive and reactionary than the team that's going to start the fights, which I think gives them a leg up in terms of when the meta changes and whatnot. They're not really trying to be the aggressive one and forcing the pace on it. They're acting defensive. You have Pine back there on Widowmaker. I think the versatility of the other DPS, especially Sabielby, which has been a pleasant surprise here in stage 4, has really surprised me. I think this team is looking good for the playoffs no matter what happens in terms of the meta.
There it is. Hey, bonus question, guys. Do Shanghai manage to beat the Mayhem this stage?
That's 2 weeks from now.
Yep.
I need more time. Like, I really want to see next week to see who's adapting to the meta better, but Florida might be the worst.
Right, fam. We got 3 Dragons players in our top 5 MVP vote.
Give me the Dragons. Give me the Dragons.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that does it for MLG's Watchpoint. Make sure you vote in the MVP thing so we don't have to make the hard decision of ignoring all of the voting. Check out our Watchpoint preview show on Tuesday, 11 p.m. Eastern. It's 8 p.m. Pacific on overwatchleague.com or the Overwatch League app. Download that one on iOS or the Android store if you haven't got it already. Thanks for watching. See ya next week.